Gosh, I don't even know where to start because I missed the last 2 weeks and I actually tried recording last week, but I'll start from the beginning. We went to visit our middle son in Nebraska. He moved out to Nebraska at the beginning of the year. He was asked to do commercial farming for his friend's dad, and he went out there, tried it, loved it, stayed there. So we went out there to visit him and help him get settled into his new place. It was quite an adventure. As a Jersey girl living in Florida, I can tell you that Western Nebraska, maybe Eastern Nebraska is different, but Western Nebraska is nothing like Jersey or Florida. So different. There is something to be said about the simple way of living. I kind of got into it. There was really nothing to do. He's in a little town called Bayard. It's about 25 minutes outside of Scottsbluff, which is the bigger city, but it's not big. So if you want to go to Walmart, Target, or any big box stores, you go to Scottsbluff. Bayard has nothing, nothing, just nothing. But I got into it. I really enjoyed no traffic and no people. There is something to be said for that simple living to visit. I couldn't live there. However, super affordable. Housing is just outright cheap. Groceries surprisingly were expensive. I was surprised about that, especially because there's a cow walking on every corner. So I would think that meat would be cheap, but it wasn't. I asked my son, and he said, "Hey, listen, all the meat goes sent straight to the packers and distributors, so it doesn't go to the local stores to be sold for cheap." So some stuff was expensive, and the one restaurant that we went to was called Bobby Joe's, really cute, a bar. Not cheap, not exactly Naples prices, but more expensive than I expected to be in a tiny little town of Bayard. Go figure. But anyways, it was quite an experience. And then because there was a storm in Florida, we got stuck. Our flight was canceled out of Denver, so we wound up spending 3 days in Denver. I'd never been to Colorado, so that was pretty cool. Wasn't super impressed with the city of Denver. Maybe it's not fair to judge. We were only there a couple of days, but the downtown was a little infested with homeless and druggies. It was really actually disturbing. I'm sure there's a lot more to the city than what I saw, but we really enjoyed hiking in Colorado Springs in the Garden of the Gods. So that was really cool to see. And then we came home, and I can't tell you how happy I am to be back in my paradise. It's so hot. I went for my 8 mile walk this morning. I came home just sweaty, dripping sweat. It was disgusting, but I love it. And tomorrow we're going on the boat. So I love the Florida lifestyle. And I wanted to cover today's subject. So many people are scared of buying in Florida. I just hear horror stories all the time, and every time I turn on YouTube, it's all doom and gloom. And I don't know, maybe the doom and gloom videos are catching people's attention, and maybe that's what people want to hear. It's the sensation and the scare and the drama. But I'm I don't want to do that. I want to tell you guys, and I'm not telling you this because I'm like, oh, I want to sell you property. I mean, of course, I'd like to sell you something, but I speak the truth. And I looked at our system today, the MLS, and I saw that in the last 120 days, there were like over 4,000 properties that were sold. And no, I'm sorry, like 35, about 3,500 properties overall from 90,000 up to 29 million. So over like 3,500 properties sold in the last 4 months, and something like almost 1,000 of them were between 500 and $1 million. And then I can't remember the number, but it was a significant number starting with like 2 million up to 29 million. So the market is not dead. It might be dead in some pockets and some price ranges. It's affected by interest rates because people that cannot afford to buy cash now have to figure out if it makes sense for them to buy, because even a half a point makes a big difference, and interest rates have not really significantly gone down. But our market is not dead. And what I wanted to cover is the fear that everybody's hearing, and literally the doom and gloom. So today I was talking to someone. He said, well, I'm looking for something to buy, but I don't want to be in a flood zone. I want to have hurricane windows. I want to have this. I don't want to have an old house. And I'm like, well, listen, the more restrictions and the more filters you put on your search, the less options you're going to have, right? So I said to him, well, listen, this year, FEMA, I think it was FEMA or whoever's in charge, all of Southwest Florida has been rezoned. So we're all pretty much in flood zone. Homes that have never flooded and most likely will never flood are in a flood zone. If your home has a mortgage, then you are required to have flood insurance if you're in the flood zone by your lender. If you don't have a mortgage, you do not have to have flood insurance. So truthfully, I would do research and I would not listen to the headlines that we're all going underwater. We've so far in the 7 years that we've lived here have survived two major hurricanes. One was Irma, which was all wind, not a lot of water, at least not in my immediate area, and Ian, which was mostly water. Our house, we're 15 minutes inland. We had no damage. I think maybe we had a couple of shingles that were damaged. Some homes in our community had roof issues, and who knows if they really needed a new roof, because at that time after Irma, there were all these roof experts that were offering them to have a roof replaced for free through insurance claims. But I would say that my community, 15 minutes inland, didn't have major damage. Maybe some people lost their lanai cages, maybe lost some shingles, but homes were intact. Windows didn't get blown out. We did not get flooded. And now we're all suddenly in the flood zone. Actually, I just checked. Luckily, my house is not in the flood zone, although a lot of houses in our community are in the flood zone. So I think if they back up to a lake, you know what a lake in the community is, right? It's a retention pond. But when these homes are built, you have to pay a premium for this waterfront property. My house backs up to a preserve, so we don't have water behind us. So thank goodness we're in an X flood zone. I was so happy to see that. But other homes in my same community, just down the street, actually on our street, on my cul-de-sac, some of the homes back up to a lake, and they are in a flood zone. But they've never flooded. They most likely won't. It's, so not every home is in a flood zone. And again, if you're financing, yes, you have to be careful. You have to do your due diligence. You have to check if you're in a flood zone. You have to find out how much insurance will be, because that will affect your monthly payments significantly. But if you're buying cash, don't worry about it. You don't have to have flood insurance. You don't have to overinsure yourself. Don't listen to the doom and gloomers. Just do your homework. Honestly, don't listen to the headlines. If you read the headlines, my gosh, you're gonna fall into depression. Okay, so insurance, hurricane windows. Do you need them? They're nice to have. I don't know the ratings of the percentages of whether they survive every storm. It's nice to have those hurricane windows. They're nice. They're really solid. You can feel the difference. Very expensive, but you can make do with regular shutters. You can even board up your house. If the house you're looking for does not come with hurricane windows, it's not the end of the world. Don't mandate or put filters on your search and say I must have hurricane windows. Not every house has that. Not even new construction, not every house has that, because that's a pretty big expensive upgrade. Because people hear Florida, they hear hurricanes. We've been through two hurricanes. My house does not have hurricane proof windows. We have accordion style. They close like this. They're always on and they close like this. That works for us. Other homes don't have them. They have manual shutters. The two hurricanes that we've had, me personally, I'm not super worried, because again, I'm 15 minutes inland. If I was closer to the beach, if I was somewhere where the wind's going to get me, if I'm by a large body of water, then I'm going to be concerned. So really, when you're buying a house in Florida, stop listening to all the experts, okay? And start doing your homework and talk to someone that actually lives here and knows what they're talking about, because it's not all doom and gloom. It is very possible. There are plenty of people that are buying it. I mean, listen, over 3,500 properties that have sold in the last 120 days in Naples alone. That's a lot of properties in what's considered to be a slow market. And if you're a seller and you're saying the market is slow, my house is not selling, I'm going to give you one little golden nugget today why your house is not selling. I'm going to give you two golden nuggets. I'm willing to bet that your house is not selling for two reasons. A, it's overpriced. Yes, it's overpriced. B, it's not what buyers want. The market has changed. Buyers now have options. They're not desperate. When people in 2021 were desperate, they would buy a box, empty box. Now buyers have options. They don't have to buy. They don't want to buy. They can rent. The rental market is great for renters now. The renters have a choice. They can even negotiate pricing. So you have to entice your buyer. How do you entice your buyer? I'm going to do a different video on it another day. But one of the big things to entice your buyer is give them a great house, a great property, a great condo, whatever it is, updated, upgraded, that looks nice. And it doesn't always mean that you have to remodel your kitchen. There are tips and tricks that you can do to make your home appealing. You have to compete. It is a competitive market now. Your neighbor's selling their home. Maybe you live in a community where there's like 30 other listings. You got to stand out. Price and offer them a great product. This is going to be it for today. I want you to not be scared of buying in Florida. I don't want you to listen to all these doom and gloomers. I mean, listen to them. They have really cool information. I listen all the time. But I also know that not every property is the same. Every house, every area, every community has its own issues or its own flood zones or whatever. And I'm not scared to buy. As a matter of fact, I'm even thinking about downsizing. My husband and I are coming up on empty nesters. We have one kid left at home. Our house is starting to be way too big for us. So we're probably going to make a move in the next 2 years. Is it a great market right now to sell? Not the best, but this is time for us to start making a move. I'm not going to wait for a better day. 2021 is not coming back, you guys. Stop waiting for 2021 and let's make a plan for 2024. And we're also going into 2025. If you have any questions, I'm always available. Call me, text me, email me. I will provide links to my information. Sunny regards from Naples, Florida.